So the 6-week summer holiday period has now officially started, and as you probably know, it can be super expensive, especially when you've got kids. Even taking them out for days out can add up. Ice creams, lunch, drinks, whatever, okay? It creeps up on you slowly. But the key thing is it doesn't actually have to be expensive. So my name is Ian and I'm a full-time school teacher. And I know I am super lucky and super grateful to be able to have the 6 weeks holiday off. However, the caveat is that when you're looking after your 2 kids, you have to entertain them and it can become expensive. Things creep up on you and costs add up. However, it is my mission to spend the summer holidays having an amazing time with my children without breaking the bank. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 money saving tips for the summer holidays, which will hopefully help you to cut your costs, but still enable you to have a great time. These tips I've used previously and my children had no idea that they were money saving tips whatsoever. So hopefully you can use them throughout your 6-week period or the time that you have off. So let's get into them. So tip number 1 is the obvious one first, and actually I tried this throughout 30 days and I was utterly shocked with how much money I saved. And that tip is to bring your own lunch. Now you can probably tell I've actually still got my kids' snacks in here from earlier. I need to sort that out later on, but bringing your own lunch is so important. Now, I honestly believe that bringing your own lunch is one of the biggest single things that you can do to cut down costs on days out. And as stated, check out my previous video, my 30-day challenge on saving money, because bringing my own lunch helped massively and I've kept that going. Now, I'm going to use this as an example. So I'm lucky enough to live by the beach, so we're always spending time down there. And I've got some notes in front of me here from figures. So if I went to my local cafe at the beach that we go to, lunch for 4 of us, so me, my wife, my 2 children, would come to a massive £48.70. And that's not even pushing the boat of what we were going to be having. I'll explain that in a bit more detail. However, instead, if we packed our own lunches, took a drink bottle, flask, and our own ice creams, for example, then we would save a serious amount of money, and I'll give you a full breakdown of that in a second. So when I went down to my local beach, I added up all of the costs that it would cost me. I've got my notes here as stated. So if we wanted to buy a portion of chips for 4 of us, 4 portions of chips, that would come to £5.90 per portion. That is a massive £23.60 just on chips. And I don't know about some of you, but when I eat a portion of chips, I could eat more than that anyway. So for me, that's a lot of money for not really being filled up. However, if you bring your own sandwiches and you make them at home, put them in your packed lunch as shown, that is a massive saving that you can make. Now, when I bought all of the ingredients that I would have needed in order to make my own lunch, the cost was unbelievably lower. It was literally a fraction of the cost. When you look at those figures, when you put a real number on it, when I went to the supermarket, I bought a loaf of bread, I bought butter, I bought cheese, I bought snacks as well. And just for those sandwiches or baguettes that I would make on their own, that would, or it could come to £1.42. However, I worked it out and I bought ingredients and items that were better quality. So I upgraded the bread that we could use. I upgraded the snacks that we could use. I even bought ice creams for us to have as well, and extra ice creams with that as well. So even if I added up extras within our lunch, my total costing for making lunch for 4 of us for the day was at only £7.68, which is unbelievably lower compared to buying 4 portions of chips. And when you did buy 4 portions of chips, firstly, I'd want more. Secondly, I'd want a drink. And thirdly, I'd probably want something else like an ice cream to go alongside it as well. So the difference for me is not comparable at all. I'm going to be packing lunch every single time. Later in this video, I'm also going to do a comparison with drinks and ice cream prices as well. However, I appreciate that not everyone would want to pack their own lunch or make their own lunch, or you want to change with your lunch. So if you don't want to do that, there are other tips that you could use, which is still going to save you money. The first one could be looking for big, well-known chains or pubs where children can eat free. Now that could take, for example, I don't know, a £25 meal down to half the price if your children can eat free. So that's one of the first ones you can do. The other tip you could have is, instead of reaching out to that local cafe, which, well, we know the prices are massively higher, you could go to a local supermarket on the way to the beach, on the way to your day out, and actually just get a meal deal. Still going to be more expensive than making your own, but actually if you're paying what, £3.50 for a meal deal, that still works out far cheaper than buying those 4 portions of chips. So even if you don't want to make your own lunch, there's still a couple of other options that you can utilize to make eating for your days out a lot cheaper than potentially buying it at a local cafe. Right, tip number 2, I absolutely love this one, and this is, I call it the ice cream trick. Okay, no magic involved. But with this tip, I've got some figures again down in front of me. You can save so much money through not buying ice creams at places out. So my local beach, if you buy a single scoop of ice cream, it's £3.90. If you buy 2 scoops of ice cream, it's £5.60. That's just ice cream in a tub. For 4 of us then, if we were to have a single scoop, that works out to be £15.60, which is a lot of money. And my children, I don't know about you, love ice cream like I do. They're going to want 2 scoops. That adds up to £22.40, which is a lot of money. However, what we do instead, and yes, it sounds so cheap and so tight, but I don't mind because it saved me loads of money, is we bust out the cool bag and the cool packs. We go to our local supermarket and we buy a box of good ice creams that we like for cheap. It costs £1.19 for 4 of them. Admittedly, it's the own brand, however, they still taste really good. And what we do, we just put them in the cool bag with the cool packs. We get to the beach, they stay cool, they do not melt at all. And when my kids actually ask for an ice cream, I'm able to give them an ice cream without having to queue up, without having to spend an absolute fortune or £15.60 in order to get 4 scoops of ice cream. So I know it sounds cheap, but it still works. But it works, and I'm still going to keep it going for us. But I know that some of you may be thinking, well, I don't live close to the beach and I've got to travel. I know I'm so grateful that I do live locally to a beach. However, there is a way around it. So on your way to the beach, bust open Google Maps, have a look for any local supermarkets. Make sure you've got your cool bag and your cool packs. When you go into the supermarket near the beach, buy your ice creams, buy some extra ice as well if you really want to. Put it all in your cool bag and it will still keep it cool. It's going to save you money. Yes, it's a bit of a faff stopping off at a supermarket, but for me, it is absolutely worth it. So that is a way around it if you don't live locally to the day out or the event that you are going to. Tip number 3 then, this one I did cover again in my 30-day challenge, but I feel it's so important for days out, and that is parking. Right, parking is one of the biggest things that you can pay money on before you even start your day out. And for me, it just kills me. It really frustrates me having to pay so much money for parking. So what you can do with this is, before you go or on your way to wherever you're going to your day out, is go on Google Maps and look for any local side roads or streets that will give you free parking. Admittedly, you're probably gonna have to walk a little way, but for me, it's well worth the savings. Now, looking at figures that I've got, our local area, if I went to the beach, my local beach, for 8 hours, it's gonna cost me £16.30. However, if I want to stay over 8 hours, between 8 and 24 hours, that jumps to £27.80, which is absolutely phenomenal money, considering you're paying that much money and you wouldn't have even got your towel out your car and gone to the beach yet, or stepped out of your car and gone for your day out. So for me, the hassle of having to walk a little way is so worth that money that you are saving. Tip number 4 then, it is not groundbreaking at all, and that is using your refillable water bottle or your refillable flask if you love your hot drinks and your coffees. I recently did this in my 30-day money challenge, and the amount that I saved from not buying coffee at my local cafe was unbelievable. And I've now made that into a habit. So whenever I go out, I always take my refillable water bottle, because a drink at the beach will cost us £3 for a normal drink. However, a coffee would cost £4.75 at my local beach, which is why I'm taking my flask. Looking at my figures, I worked out that if I bought a nice pot of coffee from my local supermarket, when I make a cup of coffee, it costs 18p for a cup of coffee. Now, me and my wife, if we have a cup of coffee each, we take it in our flasks. First of all, it is so much cheaper. Secondly, we don't have to queue up. And thirdly, it's just nicer to drink it straight away when you want it on the beach or at your day out with the kids. So for me, it saves so much money and is a tip well worth doing. So before we move on to tip number 5, I actually want to do a quick recap on the costing of buying stuff out compared to making it yourself. So as mentioned previously, if I was to buy chips for my family, a scoop of ice cream and a coffee for me and my wife, that's not including drinks for my children. I'm not being harsh, I just didn't include in the costs. That comes to £48.70, which is a lot of money. However, if I make my own lunch, which is a good lunch, that includes an ice cream for each of us, drinks and a coffee for me and my wife, that actually adds up to £7.68, meaning that I save about £41, which for me is tremendous. Obviously, I'd be walking and not parking, so I've saved that money as well. So for me, those tips are so worth doing, even if it is a little bit of hassle or faff to go through and carry them out, essentially. Finally, tip number 5 for you then is about vouchers, points, and free days out. And I generally feel like not many people know about this. And it is a massive hack that you can use to help you out to have amazing days and for a really cheap cost. So the first one under this category is family days out. Now, please excuse my crumpled up voucher, but keep your eye on social media and in newspapers. For example, the National Trust, at different points throughout the year, they do a free day out. You've just got to buy a paper, you get a free voucher. So for us, we're definitely using this over summer, and it's just amazing that you get to go to an amazing place for free. Essentially, you haven't got to pay anything. And obviously, if you incorporate your free lunches and stuff like that, it's an awesome day out for no cost whatsoever, other than maybe a bit of travel cost. So that is number 1. Right, the next one is using points from supermarkets or other providers as well. So for me, we have Tesco Clubcard points. And what we can do is we can put them towards days out and vouchers. My boys love going to the oceanarium that is local to us. And when I looked at the prices again, their updated prices, it costs for a normal entry £17.50 per adult, £12.50 per child. So for 4 of us to go to the oceanarium, that would cost us £60. However, if I use my club card vouchers, essentially 50p in vouchers will buy me £1 of entry cost. So really, we're looking at half the price. So for me to take my family out to something they absolutely love doing, yes, I'm going to have to pay, but actually that reduces the cost from 60 down to 30. So keep an eye out on your vouchers that you're saving up through shops or supermarkets. And just a key point with that, make sure your vouchers aren't expiring, because they do have expiry dates on them, which means you're not going to be able to use them. So keep an eye on that. So the last one under tip number 5, which is my personal favorite, is just general free days out. What is in your local area that is free, it doesn't cost you anything, that is already there? For us, I love looking for local country parks and going on walks with my family. I love taking them for cycles. I love having picnics down the beach and breakfast down the beach where we take our own breakfast as well. So keep an eye out for things in your local area that are free, because your children are going to have a great time as long as they're out and as long as they're with you. Now, the next point as well, we get magazines through the door, and also my little boys bring this magazine, Primary Times, for example, home from their local school. And within these magazines, you'll see loads of different events that are coming up, but loads of different ideas for things to do. So just look for those magazines. It's going to help you plan out your summer at a really low cost. So they're my 5 tips, hopefully going to help you get through your summer holidays at a lower cost. Just like I said, recap, bring your own lunch, bring your refillable water bottle or your flask, swap out those expensive ice creams for ones you can bring at home in your cool bag, look for vouchers as well for 3 days out, and then finally try and reduce that parking cost as well. I just want to mention as well, for me, it's not just about making those 6 weeks really cheap. It is about me making small decisions in those 6 weeks, stopping any small money leaks, and putting them towards my bigger overall picture. I want to improve my financial situation for myself and my family. I don't want to be under any more financial pressure and stress. I want to reduce that. I want to reduce my debt, and I want to be able to be in a position where I'm not worried about money and I can spend more time with my children. So, as stated, for me, it's about making small decisions which are going to help me to achieve my overall long-term goal. And generally, I do feel like that is so possible for anyone out there. Now, if you've got your own financial tip or summer money saving idea, please drop it in the comments below. I'm generally so interested to hear about other people's ideas, and I want more ideas that I can use myself to help me save money. So if you can, drop them in the link below. And if you want to see more from me, please check out my 30-day money challenge video where I took on 10 different money saving tips to test out if they worked. The results were mind-boggling to me, and it's enabled me to change my life really with how I'm thinking about money and things that I'm doing on a daily basis. So check out that. And as always, thank you for watching, and I really appreciate it.